Hello, dear friends. The surprise increases with each passing day, and this has only just begun. Opinion piece. It's happening. The Pope has passed away. Something is changing. The time has come. We will walk later. The reckoning has arrived. The system will fall in layers. Vance meet with the Pope. The Vatican in panics. The last Pope's prophecy. Gold exceeds $3,400. The euro reaches its highest level. The Dragon family demands a Jubilee. Solar storm on Tuesday and Wednesday. It's not a matter of time, but of frequency. We are architects of a new civilization. Loreto's Hermit prophesied President Trump. Let's start. We said something big was going to happen, and now it has. The Pope has died, and that changes world politics. This is a real storm. We are living in a time of the fall of great leaders, belief systems, organizations, and governments, while humankind is divided into three large groups: those who rise, those who resist, and those who live. Those who rise will walk more lightly. Those who resist will walk more heavy. And those who live should be blessed and wished good luck. According to the Syrians, the system will not collapse suddenly, but in layers. First, the layer of trust, because people increasingly distrust their leaders. Second, the information layer, when leaks, accusations, and hidden documents come to light. Third, the financial layer, because fiat currencies are losing value. Fourth, the spiritual layer, when traditional religions are going through deep internal crisis, and many leaders will reveal what they have always hidden. This transformation will produce despair in many people. Some will try to resist, and others will be paralyzed by stupefaction, but those who are ready will walk, and in that walk there will be the help. Ships from our star family are circling Earth and operate on a different frequency than ours. That is why only those who have awakened their sixth sense can perceive them. We are the architects of a new civilization. The change is not a matter of time, but of frequency. The collapse will be complete, and when enough souls vibrate above the critical density line, that is, when the new structure will be visible. Until then, we need faith, not a blind faith, but one born of inner knowing, even if we don't know exactly how this works. With each new dawn, more awakened souls don't understand what has happened, but they feel it. Something is changing because there is an acceleration in the heartbeat of the planet, a pulse that resonates in the heart of Gaia, signaling that the point of return has been passed. The final judgment has arrived, and this energetic wave covering the earth is being felt even by the most skeptical. And what is at stake now is not the destruction of the world, but its reconstruction. Many recent sightings are only a taste of what is really approaching. There will be no invasion, and there will be no attack. What will occur will be a gradual approach, beginning with direct contacts, dreams, meditation, synchronicities, and subtle activations until humankind is ready for an open revelation. The first contact will not be a show, but a consequence, because humankind needs to raise its collective frequency before it can naturally receive stellar civilizations. And that is why it is so necessary to separate the vibrational wheat from the chaff before humanity can officially reconnect with its cosmic origin. The news. Pope Francis died this Monday at 7:35 a.m. at the age of 85 in his residence in Santa Marta due to a cerebral stroke that caused a coma and irreversible cardiocirculatory failure, announced Cardinal Camerlengo Kevin Joseph Farrell. The Pope's death begins a long and regulated process to elect a successor to the Bishop of Rome, the deadlines for which will be agreed upon depend on the consensus of the cardinals. Up to 135 cardinal electors will participate in the conclave to elect the new pontiff. In recent days, statements signed by Luigi Carboni, the Vatican's medical officer, described Francis as being in increasingly fragile health. He even admitted on Saturday, February 22nd, that this condition was critical and that he had been given high-flow oxygen and had also required a blood transfusion. Spain declares 3 days of mourning for the death of Pope Francis. The fisherman's ring is one of the traditional symbols of the papal authority, linking the Bishop of Rome with the Apostle Saint Peter. It is named after the image stamped on its surface is depicting Saint Peter sitting in a boat and casting his nets into the sea. The piscatorial ring is worn by all popes after taking office and is made from the remains of the ring worn by the previous pontiff as a symbol of succession. Prophecies. Nostradamus predicted the death of Pope Francis as well as the cardinal who would replace him. The prophecy of the last pope. Are we living in the times of the last pope? Archbishop Ganswin drew renewed attention to the ancient prophecy of Saint Malachi, which predicts that Benedict XVI was the penultimate pope before the second coming. This is based on a mysterious text called the Prophecy of the Popes, attributed to the 12th century Irish Archbishop Saint Malachi. The cleric had a vision during his visit to Rome in 1139 that led him to write the text. It was discovered in 1595 by the Benedictine monk Arnold Wyon, who claimed to have found it among the Vatican's secret archives. The prophecy of Saint Malachi holds that after a list of 111 popes, the last pontiff, called Peter the Roman, would rule the church in times of great tribulations before the final judgment. Benedict XVI would have been the penultimate pope, Gloria Olive, and Francis would occupy the position of the last pope, according to the prophecy, although the prophecy doesn't mention his name, but uses the motto Peter the Roman. The debate about the prophecy has been relinked because African cardinals are among the favorites to succeed Pope Francis, which has also been linked to Nostradamus' prophecy of a black pope and the end of the world. Furthermore, it is mentioned that there is only room for one more papal portrait in St. Peter's Basilica, fueling speculation that the next pope could be the last before the final judgment. The Holy Hermit of Loreto prophesied in 1983 that President Trump would be the one who lead the world back to God. Tom Zimmer, an American layman known as the Hermit of Loreto, spent much of his life praying in the Basilica of the Holy House in Loreto, Italy. In the 80s, Zimmer had a premonition. A man named Donald J. Trump would one day lead the US back to God. To support this premonition, Zimmer donated a brick to be placed in the holy door of St. Peter's Basilica for a holy year. The brick was inscribed with Trump's name so that masses and prayers offered at the Vatican would include intentions for him. Reactions. Commotion gripped Argentina. Pope Francis, native country, atoned this Monday after news of his death at the age of 88 broke in Vatican City. Francis, who left his country as Archbishop Jorge Mario Bergoglio, was elected Pope in 2013 and has never returned to Argentina since. One message was repeated in the media and on social media. In quotes, "He is the most important Argentine in history," a sentiment that puts him above an sports idol or political leader. In television and radio, regular programming was interrupted to launch special broadcasts. During his campaign, Milei called him, in quotes, "the representative of evil on earth, standing on the side of evil and related to murderous communists," among other insults. But as president, he visited him and ended the criticism. Milei said this Monday, "Despite differences that today seem minor, it was a true honor for me to have been able to meet him in his kindness and wisdom," as he mourned the death of an Argentine who went down in history. Change of cycle. According to Benjamin Fulford, the announcement of Pope Francis' death and the imminent announcement of the demise of Charles III signify the end of the dark dominion of the West. Freemasons on the P3 Lodge claim that the new Pope will be Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle of the Philippines. This is because the Philippines has gold to back the new financial system. Could Archbishop Vigano save Catholicism? Asks Crystal River. Tagle, who prefers to be called by his nickname Chito rather than his clerical title, has been involved in many social issues in the Philippines, with an emphasis on helping the poor while defending opposition to abortion, contraception, and what he has called practical atheism. According to Fulford, these events are due to the death of Richard Armitage on April 13th, while being interrogated by White Hats about his global control network and sinking like a bat. Armitage was the second in command at the State of Department, a relative of the famous black magician Aleister Crowley, and the cousin of his daughter Barbara Bush. Some sources say he was the highest-ranking Satanist in the West. The process to dismantle this control network is underway. Proof of this are President Trump's attack on Fed Chairman Jerome Powell. Iran. According to Benjamin Fulford, Elon Musk has visited Iran on behalf of the US military. The Iranians offered the US investment opportunities worth $1 trillion. Iran has agreed to reopen branches of Elon Musk's companies in Iran and give his subsidiaries access to the Iranian market, including the sale of iPhones and cars. Musk also promised to send millions of Western tourists to Iran, saying that Iran will soon become the richest country in Asia, because every corner of this country is filled with tourist attractions and the wealth of resources. Negotiations also took place in Oman between envoys of President Trump and the Iranian government. The curious thing is that the Iranians and the Americans remained in separate rooms, as the Omani foreign minister went back and forth to convey their messages. The Iranians are familiar with the habit of killing people with directed energy weapons during meetings, so they didn't want to be in the same room, considering that Iranian General Soleimani was assassinated under the pretext of diplomatic negotiations. Despite all this, the negotiations went well. As a result, the prices of gold, the dollar, and cars in Iran plummeted. In another sign that things have changed, the Iranian embassy in Washington is being refurbished for its opening. The reason Iran is so talked about is because it is the heir to the legendary Persian treasure. The price of gold plummeted in Iran because the Iranians know that part of that treasure is about to be released. In the West, if the West can access this gold, it won't have to kiss Asia's ass. The Dragon family's proposal, now on the desk of Donald Trump and Xi Jinping, calls for a Jubilee followed by a fundamental readjustment of the current international system. We hope they will address it positively. The other important point of the Iran deal is that it ends a centuries-old plot to initiate the Third World Festival by having Muslims and Christians fight each other. That's why Iran proposed the creation of a nuclear weapon-free zone in the Middle East. This doesn't mean that the ancient plot to have Muslims and Christians will kill each other has been abandoned. Despite this good news, fighting still awaits us. Although negotiations with the Iranians went well, talks with the Russians did not. The Russians are demanding war crimes trials. It would be pointless to run around the world, change passports, and undergo plastic surgery. A second Nuremberg will be unavoidable, and not only the guilty parties would have to answer for it, but also their owners and all sponsors. Breaking news. Gold exceeds $3,400 for the first time in history. A crisis of confidence in the dollar has begun. Can Trump fire Powell? His dismissal would trigger a market earthquake. The Economist surrenders to Milei. In quotes, Argentina has never been so close to a normal economy. The euro reaches its highest level since 2021. The EU threatens, with little success, anyone who tries to celebrate Nazi defeat in Moscow. Lavrov says that it's mind-blowing how Europe wants to renew Nazism. Moscow will do everything possible to prevent that ideology from raising its head. Solar storm warning for April 22nd and 23rd, when a stream of solar wind containing intensified magnetic field is expected to hit Earth. And that's all for today. Thanks a lot, dear friends.